What's up, guys? It's Mighty Mike, and welcome to another episode of the podcast, or the Rockstar Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about our home buyers screwed in today's market. And today joining me is once again
Chris Neun. I was waiting for
Chris
some
Neun.
kind of insult going on.
Well, we had technical difficulties, so I had to overcome that, and then we jumped into it. I was like,
gotcha.
we're late. Yeah. Joining me over here to my right is going to be Evan Batista from our mortgage guy. Which the firm you work for now?
The mortgage firm.
The mortgage
Our
firm.
mortgage guy. What's the firm?
Mortgage guy. What's the firm?
Yeah, the mortgage firm.
There.
So yeah, we're going to talk about like the situation in the market that's going on with, in particular, millennials. What we normally come across for tons and tons of millennials is this idea that they can't afford a home, and this idea that they're kind of just like screwed over, and it's like the end of the world for them. If you go to Reddit, you go to like any of those social media places, they always kind of bring this up. This idea that
just common misconceptions that just people just have in their head, or they just heard it from someone else who's never bought a home before, instead of like just talking to their parents who has a house.
So much bad information just going around.
So much bad information going around.
Let me help you there, sir.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
We can show your face.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, much better. Show that
There we
beard.
go.
This is the bearded crew right now.
There
We all.
You know what? I didn't even
I have like
notice.
scruff, but
Yeah, that's
you know.
not. No, you don't have a beard.
Well, okay, so continue on.
So as far as like people thinking that they can't afford, I think that's just a misconception when it comes to being able to afford and down payment and things like that. So, I mean, they really just need to sit down with a realtor and a mortgage guy and just figure out what they need to do.
Does it require any information? Do you need to give out any information just to sit down with a mortgage guy or a realtor?
I mean, the basic information that you would do when you're...
What are some of the basic information?
I mean, just name, phone number, where you've lived for the last 2 years, where you've worked for the last 2 years, income, how much you have in savings, and then we just pull a credit report and then just do an application.
Yeah, do you have to pull credit?
Yeah, we have to pull credit.
Does it damage you?
It doesn't really hurt you. I mean, you're going to see a decrease by a couple points, but it's not anything like, oh, I lost 15 points. It's not anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, what about the situation where, like, if I go shopping for a rate, you know, do I get dinged multiple times?
Actually, that's one of the good things. You actually have a 45-day window where you can shop a couple lenders and not really be penalized.
Yeah.
So you can go to Bank of America, Space Coast Credit.
So for essentially 45 days, I can go to anyone or any bank and just kind of see who can give me the best rate.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm not going to see any like 30-point drop just because I talked to 5 mortgage.
Right, because they know that this is going to be a long-term investment. So, I mean, if they were to ding you every single time, if you started with Bank of America, by the time you got to Chase and the other people, your score would drop so much that they'd be like, nobody would be able to give you a loan. So they give you a grace period for 45 days.
They understand that you're a consumer. You have that right to shop, and we want to go ahead and not penalize you.
Right.
So that's one misconception. I feel like a lot of people, it's like, well, I don't want my credit get hurt. It's like, it doesn't.
And the funny thing is that people don't even think about it when they're buying a car. And that's like the worst time when you go to a dealership. I don't know if any of you guys.
I just recently bought a car, and I got literally they went to 6-7 different places and to pull my credit.
Right.
They pulled it 6 times, and I was just like, and for like after I bought the car for the next like month, I kept getting mail. You have been denied. You have been denied. I had really good credit actually. I don't know why I kept getting denied.
And you think you're only getting your credit pulled once, and they don't tell you.
No.
They pull your score 15, 20 times.
Yeah, because they're looking for the person to who's going to approve you.
Right. Not only that, but also the margins on their end to make sure that they
make a profit.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, okay. So besides that, when it comes to like the low inventory in this market, because we know like with the latest latest numbers that have come out recently, low inventory, low sales, but record high prices.
Yep.
But we have really good interest rates. So when it comes
that
to like
itself is a record.
with that
With that kind of combinations, usually if you have high prices, you have high rates.
Yeah.
Well, and like typically it has a lot to do with the Federal Reserve, and everybody's trying to push this whole idea of like, we're trying to keep the market going. We're trying to avoid a recession. Election is coming up, all that good stuff.
Nobody cares about that boring stuff.
Oh, they care about a ton. So what are you talking about?
I'm not gonna dwell deep into that.
Yeah, but anyways, the issue is that like when it comes to buyers and in this particular marketplace, what are some of the big hurdles that you're seeing?
I think the biggest hurdle would be big car payments.
Oh yeah,
huge car payments because you have a car.
Oh, that's weird because I would have thought like student debt or maybe medical.
But the car payments, what's like the average that you're seeing?
Honestly, $400.
$400.
Like
Who's
between $360 to $420 is like.
What kind of
well, okay, so
what are you paying for yours, Mike?
I'm paying like $150 a month.
I am paying $245, and that was voluntary.
Yeah, well, I would say
voluntary.
So
you got a voluntary car note,
right? That's true.
How does that work?
No, right? It's a voluntary. Like I'm purposely paying that much just to pay it down.
I got you.
Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying. Yeah. One of the things, like when I was in the military, I remember I was in basic training. This guy, he was like, I own this is 2002, 1, 3, somewhere around that time. I forgot which year. And it's around that time, and so he had like a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you guys seen a Mitsubishi Eclipse?
Yeah.
So,
I used to want one.
Ago. Yeah, so long ago. So he had a car payment. It was like $600, and this is 2003 time period around that. So yeah, it was pretty bad for everything that we were doing there. So
it's car payment. That's the biggest obstruction for people.
That's the biggest one because that really impacts your debt to income ratio on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And what people fail to realize is that if you buy your house first and then the car, you can have both.
Yeah, you can play with both.
But people go ahead and they buy the car and then they're like, I want to buy a house when you should have done it in reverse. So car payments, they take huge chunks of what you can afford. And if one of these days we need one of these chalkboards so I can go ahead and do the numbers so people could see it, and that would make life so much easier. But I mean,
right. But for the lack of visual sight.
Yeah.
So anything else? What about those who have medical debt or not medical debt? Sorry, student debt.
So the beautiful thing with student debt is,
especially doctors and stuff like that.
So I actually just did a loan on
we'll call him a doctor.
It wasn't a doctor. They're in the
medical
law profession.
professional.
They're in the law profession. They're an attorney.
Okay.
So they just graduated. Anyways, we only have to count the income-driven repayment plan. So whatever payment plan or income-driven based repayment plan that you set up with Navient or whoever it is, that's the payment that we can use. So we don't have to use 1%. We don't have to use.
It's only 1% if it's deferred, right?
If it's deferred or FHA.
Or if you're going FHA, okay.
Right.
So if I have my law degree, I'm not working with Morgan & Morgan, I have $150,000 worth of student debt behind me, and instead of doing 1%, it's on a income payment plan, I guess you said?
Right.
An income payment plan. So say if I'm making, say, $75,000. So
if you have a payment of $35, then I just count a $35 payment. Right.
Oh, nice.
So it's no big deal.
Okay.
But
so
if you have a $300 car
so
payment,
that's a big misconception. It's like, I now like owe $200,000 worth of debt, but I don't have to worry about that essentially.
Right. A lot of
because
people
you're making payments, and it's only $35, so that's all they have to calculate.
Right, just like a credit card. If your credit card says you owe $40 a month, we're not looking at the
balance,
$3,000 balance that you owe, and that's the big misconception when it comes to buying and debt and student loan debt.
Mm-hmm. It helps when it comes to credit though, like if you're dealing with credit cards, but.
As long as you don't overextend yourself, you know, I tell people be underneath the 50%. Really, ideally, you should be around 20 to 30% utilization. So if you have $1,000, don't charge more than $300. You know, stay under there. But
cool, nice. What about those who have medical bills?
Medical bills,
medical debt.
So if you're not paying them, they report negatively, but for qualifying purposes, we don't have to count a payment. We don't have to pay them off. So whatever your credit score is, it's going to be impacted because you're not paying the medical debt, but we still can qualify you as long as your credit score is good.
Okay.
Well, not even good, but
what's the average or like the bare minimum that you've been able to squeeze out for a credit score and get a loan done?
So we did a 560 a couple months ago. They put 10% down.
Oh, so they had the cash.
Yeah, they had the cash, which
Just horrible credit.
yeah, and I don't know how you have cash and horrible credit. Usually they
That means they paid
it's
cash.
possible. Yeah,
It's possible.
Usually when you have credit problems, it's because you have money problems, right?
Right.
Because you can't pay things on time or whatever the case might be. It's money problems. So
Right.
this guy in particular, he had 10% to put down, wanted to jump in, didn't care, just go ahead, make it happen. So I mean, we made it happen. But 580, we can do 3.5% down without beating people over the head.
Yeah. So if the facts that you know today as a mortgage professional, and are buyers screwed? Do you feel like buyers are screwed because of like high prices, low rates, like the?
I don't think that buyers are screwed. I think you're gonna need more than one income unless you're in a professional, like if you have a profession, whether it be HVAC or realtor, or if you're making decent money. Because I mean, $30,000 today and $30,000 back in 2005 are two different. You could back then you could rent something for $600, $700. Now that same place is renting for $900, $1,000.
Yeah,
probably
easily.
double that.
Yeah. So I mean, you need to have some decent income, but I don't think they're screwed. I don't think they're screws.
Yeah, I think a lot of misconceptions. I think it's just a vast misconception campaign out there, because a lot of my clients are first-time home buyers. A lot of them are millennials. They're my age. I typically went to school with them. So a lot of them are purchasing homes at this point in time. And so when I see this stuff on social media, when it pops up, and it's like, hey, look, millennials cannot afford it. You see the articles talk about it. Like for some reason, they make millennials sound like they're the last generation.
Yeah,
like,
on the planet.
Everyone's
screwed.
Everybody's screwed. The human race is going to end at this point in time because apparently like their mental wellness and their wealth and all this stuff, this is completely gone.
Let's be offended.
So like,
offended 'cause I can't buy a house.
So like, I've dealt with them before, and I think the biggest challenges we find is just simply low inventory. Like, I don't think it has a lot to do with their finances at all.
Oh, they they feel like they're locked down. I've had a lot of friends who say like, I don't want to buy because I'm locked into a house, and what if I want to move? I'm just like, have you wanted to move in the past like
exactly? I just want
10
the
years
option
of your
to think
adult
about
life?
wanting to move.
I mean, if they want to move, they still can move.
I know. It's just like if you actually, my biggest argument is really quickly
What's stopping you?
It's just like, hey, you're in a rental, right? And goes, yes. I'm like, do you have a lease? Yeah. I'm like, what happens if you break that lease? I have to pay them the remaining balance. I'm like, oh, really? You sound pretty locked in, huh?
Yeah.
How much would that be? It's like $6,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
that was a down payment on a house, man.
Think about it.
And like, you can literally get into a house and turn around and sell it in 30 days.
You really can. In this
It's
market,
called flipping.
like in this
Like
market,
they
I've
do it
worked-
all the time.
Yeah, in this market, I've worked with a few realtors that before the house even hit the MLS, they had 6 or 7 offers, like before it even went live on the MLS. So
well, that has lots to do with the low inventory, and
Right.
Extremely low
what's going on,
inventory. This is like we only have about an average just under 8,000 homes on the market right now, ladies and gentlemen. 8,000 for the Central Florida area. That is extremely low when you have approximately just over 2 million just in the Orlando area.
Has it bumped up though? Have you guys seen more inventory lately?
No.
No.
If it increases, it's marginal.
Gotcha.
It's like 100. It's like 100 difference.
Gotcha.
But when you have like 2 million people in the Orlando area alone, when you have just less than 1% of that trying to move or attempt to move, want to move, and then you have on average 60,000 or so from out of state moving to Orlando or to the Central Florida area. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That creates an extreme demand. Prices go up, rental rates grow up, and then people complain as well because apartment complexes are coming in. It is the most desired area. Central Florida is the most desired area for multifamily units, such as like complexes and whatnot. And people hate it. It's like, I understand it because the roads can't handle it.
Let's not even get started there.
I know. It's a whole nother
we had a podcast talking about that.
Yeah, the infrastructure.
The infrastructure and what's going
Yeah,
on.
it's screwed. I completely hate it. And so people complain, are like, the rental rate, we need to have like a cap on it. It's just like, you can't. You just need to produce more
not New York.
homes. Yeah. It's like, it's not New York. You're right, man. It's like, we just need more homes.
That's it.
And but the thing is, like, there's so much red tape when people like new construction. They're popping up everywhere, but they're not popping up fast enough because they have to go through so much red tape. So much red tape.
Yeah.
That's why apartment complexes is the more amount of people you can put per square foot is greater than a single family home.
I think what we're gonna start to see in the Orlando area is instead of building out like they've always built, we're gonna see them building up more. I think they're gonna see.
They
Well,
need to.
that's what we talk about the infrastructure project. I know
I mean, this whole
Max
Max is like completely against the whole idea.
Single family zoning to ex-nay it.
Yeah, he's like
Just build up.
completely against it whatsoever. I'm just like, it's gonna happen. You're gonna sit there,
Get rid of cars.
and they're gonna sit there, and we're gonna have to build up. Is at a certain point in time, building up doesn't cost any more. The major expenses when it comes to building anything is the land. Is the purchasing the property, the real property,
Environmental
environment impacts. So like at a point like when you get to the 12th level of any apartment place, or not apartment, but any building, it doesn't really become any more expensive besides material and time and labor. So real quick, for all you guys who are paying attention, I know this camera just went down. But yeah, if you have any questions whatsoever, go ahead and shoot them in the box at the chat box that you guys see. We'll gladly be able to answer all your questions if I could talk. Having major technical difficulties, and we apologize.
That's all right. We forgive you, Mike.
Your camera works, though.
Yes. Hey, guys.
which camera should I be looking at? There's
Well,
so many cameras. That one over there.
Say hi. Wave.
What's going on? Hey guys,
Welcome.
thanks for having me again.
No problem. Cheers.
Yeah, so any
Cheers
other
to our
issues that you
water.
guys see as far as coming down the line when it comes to buying?
I will say the misconception about how easy it is to get first-time buyer down payment assistance. Everybody really thinks that it's accessible. Like the city and the county is just handing out, here, you get 10,000 and you get 10,000, and that's not
That was back in the day, wasn't it?
right. When there was a lot of foreclosure and there was a lot of inventory, people had the luxury of waiting 60, 75 days to be able to close on a house. And
I don't think they had the luxury. They had to.
that's that.
You were stuck.
Right. I mean, if you were selling your house, there wasn't a lot of people beating down your door
To get
fighting.
in.
Right. You know, so, I mean, you can easily find somebody who's willing to wait 60, 75 days until they got the funds in order to purchase. Today, I mean, you got
5 offers before it hits the market.
Yeah, you got houses being sold at more than asking, so even just giving the sales price there is you're not guaranteed to win like you were before. So 60 to 75 days is crazy.
Yeah. The average close date is what?
I would say we close under 30 days.
Just-
I would
just
say
under 30 days
I would
average.
say market average is probably like 30, 35. So
And that's normal. That's actually pretty quick. That's
That
pushing
is.
files. That's pushing files really quick. And there are in some cases where if a buyer is like flawless in their financing,
Ooh,
like
I've had a
Sarah,
couple of
like
those,
Sarah
yeah,
Bonner,
yeah.
she would
Shout
like,
out to her.
Shout out to her. Like she was perfect. She got all of her ducks. She had all of her ducks in a row. As soon as we called, she answered. She was extremely responsive, and she was like,
She was literally signing paperwork before I could reach out to her and be like, "Hey, we sent you paperwork. Can you please sign it?" Like I would receive it. I'd be like, "Oh
Man,
Like-
I was a waste of a phone call. And but she was amazing, and we closed we could have closed like a week early,
Yeah.
or a week and a half early. So it was like essentially like a 2.5, 3 week deal.
Yeah.
And that was cool. What is going on with this?
It's drooping.
It is drooping.
Yeah, we need to kind of tighten that up.
Technical difficulties all around.
Yeah, I'll blame this.
I'm like
on,
coming down like a turtle. Like I'm going to my shell.
Yeah, I'll blame this on the fact that it's Saturday, so we're
Yep.
kind of out of it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Did you give
But
the equipment their
I'm
coffee?
still waking up.
Yeah, I gave the equipment coffee earlier. I didn't take any coffee, so that's what messed me up. So
Got you.
Yeah.
I'm sipping on mine. So
yeah, so I got the camera back up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Welcome back, world.
Hey,
I'm
yeah,
not in that
welcome
one.
back. Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah, I've never had any issues as far as so the big issue that I come across for a lot of home buyers, especially first-time home buyers, is just not enough income. Typically, or
They're not
bad
making
credit. They're not making enough money, and they just have to build up the credit. They have to get to a point like, for whatever reason, credit issues happen, and
most of them are over leveraged.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the money issue.
It's not
it's not that they're
income.
poor. It's that they owe too much,
And they're
too
bad
much of their
financing.
money is going
Yeah.
to their debt. Yeah.
That just comes to financial responsibility and knowing what you can and cannot afford.
Financial
Yeah.
literacy.
Consumerism. That's what it boils down to. Is people wanting to buy and trying to keep up with the Joneses, and just we have credit cards now that you get offers in the mail. You don't even have to really do anything. They're like, here, you pre-approved. You know? So
If someone has essentially bad credit and they want to establish credit, like the best thing to do is probably the secured credit.
yes. And if
Yeah,
people
we
don't-
talked about that last
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
So what
Right.
are we gonna talk about? What do you guys have me here for?
No, we talked about it, but from like we talked about it with
Chad.
Chad Murray as
Oh,
far
okay.
as
Credit
Oh
coach,
yeah,
yeah.
he's real good.
Yeah.
You guys saw his book launch. That's why.
He
Yeah, we
came
talked
out. We
about
talked
it,
about it.
Yeah, I saw it.
yeah, we talked about it during the podcast, and for everybody else who's paying attention or watching, we'll put a link in the description later on.
Yep.
Um,
And Chad, if
Wait.
you're watching, you still need to put some links down for some information that you said you're going to be able to provide.
Exactly. So I mean, like, yeah. So from the mortgage side of things, you know, kind of explain to you like what is the best way to go about it. Like if I'm purchasing a house, I'm a first time home buyer. What are the steps I need to take in order to make sure that the transaction moves smoothly?
So I would say, have your ducks in a row. First thing we want to do is take your application and see where you're at. A lot of people don't want to do an application because they feel like their credit is going to get bombed from it. But that's like going to the gym and speaking with a personal trainer, and they're like, hey, I need to take your measurements. I need you to jump on the scale. But you're like, no, I just
Wanna
want
work
to
out.
lose weight. Yeah. I mean, there's no way to really be effective. They need to know what you're eating. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
So I got to do the same thing. I got to take an assessment of how you are doing financially and then make a roadmap for you in order to qualify. So during that, I'm telling you, hey, make sure you get your W-2s and your tax returns. We're going to need bank statements. If you have any money that's underneath your couch, please deposit it. So by the time you're ready.
In slow increments, not all $4,000 at
Please,
once.
yeah, make my life easier so I can make yours
Yeah.
come true.
As far as like ducks in a row as well, time wise, should I be filling an application with you to see where I am 1 week before I need to move out, or do I need to do it like
Ideally.
1 month?
Ideally.
Wrong answer, man.
I would say it just kind of depends on your scenario. I would always say 3 months to 6 months.
3 to 6 months out, I
Right.
should do an application with you.
I would say 3 to 6 months. If you're not sure, if you got some serious things that we need to take
Address.
a look at,
Yeah.
credit, down payment, then I would ideally say 6 to 8 months. Just so you have time to fix whatever we need to fix on the credit, save money, get gift funds, deposit them,
Mhm.
season them.
Anything about credit wise and stuff like that, building it up or fixing it.
Right. It's kind of like
getting a little stronger.
it's kind of like working out, right? If you start eating right and you start hitting the gym, you're not going to see those gains or losses, whatever you're trying to accomplish, until 2-3 months later. So
Yep. Of consistency.
right, of consistency. So just because they take care of what they needed to take care of, or you got your secured credit card, doesn't mean you're going to just jump up 50 or 60 points where you should have been. It's going to take 2 months, 3 months of it reporting
yeah.
positively, or a little bit more. So it's just not just, I did a couple push-ups and now I'm fit. You know, I'm on a
definitely
keto
not.
diet and
Yeah, I'm on a keto
good.
diet.
All right, so kind of just to wrap it up a little bit, so we're going to be coming up on 25 minutes now. All right, so we talked about like the smooth action of trying to get through the process, getting the transaction. What are the things that people need to look out for, or what things should people have ready when they talk about this? Because I like that question, what you're saying, like when should you get ready? And I think the biggest problem I see for a lot of people is just like, oh, I'll start the mortgage process once I find the house, and I'm like,
Yes.
that's
Like that-
not in this market.
yeah, that's way too late, and like you need to get
Yeah.
pre-approved at least 30 days before you start doing
if you
this.
want to wait to find the house before you decide to go and get approved, you are setting yourself up for failure.
It's okay. I don't mind it. And the reason why I say that is because people need to get the dose of reality that the houses are moving that fast. So you need to listen to us because we're in the field and we're seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
So, okay, don't listen to us.
Something
Now
need
you
a
lost
reality
your
check is what you're
dream home,
saying. Yeah.
and now you're going to listen to us. So,
Yeah. No, I hear you. Anything else?
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. If you guys are watching this after we did the live recording, feel free to go ahead and leave a message anyways, and then the next episode we'll go ahead and address those questions. Remember, just because we're talking about buyers doesn't mean that if you don't have a buyer's question, we won't answer it. So if you guys are thinking about selling, think about getting into investment, think about refinancing, think about anything that comes with like credit, line of credit, whatever, HELOCs.
Investing.
Even home maintenance, like, if you think about selling a house and you have an issue with your house, we may be able to address it, talk about from our experience when it comes to buying and selling, how we handle those issues as real estate agents for our clients. So go ahead and leave those questions in the comments down below. Do you guys have any final words or any final suggestions or recommendations?
Go ahead.
No, go for it, man. I was actually pointing to, like, what are the best to get started? Talk to.
Just go ahead, sit down, and have a consultation with us and see where you're at.
That's the biggest takeaway. If you want home ownership, whether it's now or 5 years from now, sit down.
We got to make a roadmap. We got to make a game plan.
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
And one thing I would like to say is, if you're looking to buy a house, don't finance a car. Like that would be the biggest thing. Don't change jobs.
Don't change jobs. Don't buy
the boat. Don't buy the car.
Don't put a ton of things on credit as soon as you're going through that process.
Don't co-sign.
Don't co-sign. Don't co-sign. Before you guys do anything, just ask me, because there's a way around it, and we just have to be creative, but we have to do it ahead of time knowingly instead of just doing it and then be like, hey, fix it. What I notice is people don't want to be transparent with me, and I'm like, hey, I'm your lawyer.
I try to tell people that, like, if there's one person you need to be transparent with about when it comes to your money, is this guy.
Listen, I'm trying to approve you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't get paid hourly. So I'm trying to prove you. I'm not trying to deny loans, So my job is to, when we go to the judge, aka the underwriter, we have to present our case to them, and they just have to be able to read it and be like, okay, this looks good, and approve, So if during that process you held out whatever, that you had child support, and now we're in underwriting, the judge is going to be like, so you have a $347 child support that you're supposed to be paying monthly, and we never accounted it.
How is that relevant?
Now I'm looking at
How's that relevant? Yeah.
I'm buying a house, not kid.
Yeah.
I can make a kid.
Now I'm
So be honest, be upfront.
Just tell us.
Find out now, not the day of.
Yeah. Okay. So misconceptions. What are things that people believe you hear all the time and they're completely wrong?
Oh,
I would say down payment assistance.
Free money.
Free money. Yeah. I think that's it's a huge one I hear all the time. People come up to me like, oh, I'm a first time home buyer, and I'm thinking about, getting down payment assistance. And I'm like, it's out there. But the hurdles and the mountains and the tunnels you have to dig and climb over.
You actually looked into this. Like, you looked into what Orange County says they give out to what they actually give out. Something with, like, Seminole County, like what they say they have, but they don't give.
The person who told me the information, all right, I'm just going to say it. So they were supposed to give $3.2 million, like something like $3.3 million in assistance, and they really gave like $394,000.
Yeah, and people are paying for these classes, are they not?
Yeah, by
the droves.
Yeah. So $394,000, and that's not just for down payment assistance. It's also for the rehabilitation of the homeowners that need help with, like, rehab and making sure that their houses are still livable and things like that. So $394,000 sounds like a lot, but in reality, it's
like
not.
Out of the $3.2 million they were supposed to give.
Right. It's really not a lot of money. So what I try to explain to people is, let's say you're selling your house, right? And Mike, you got 2 buyers. I'm ready to purchase right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can close in 30 days, and I have the money. But Chris's deal is dependent upon him getting the funds from down payment assistance, the house passing inspection, and the house appraising, and it's going to take 60 to 75 days for him to close, contingent upon those items.
Yeah.
Who are you going to sell your house to?
No, I know.
And
it would be you. Like, the house will go straight to you because there's so much hurdles. Because, like, not only do you have to get approved by the lender, but now you have to go take that file to the down payment assistance people,
right?
And they have to verify it all.
And not only they ask
they
for
have
more,
their own underwriters,
and they have their own underwriters.
And
just
they
like,
ask
damn,
for more
that could
paperwork. They ask for 3 months of pay stubs and 6 months of bank statements. So any funny money that you guys took out of the account in order to qualify, or you got a huge refund check on your taxes, They look for anything to
not have to,
not
give,
have
it
to
out.
give it to you.
So they pay and they dish out so much, or they get paid by so many people who to these classes to get it, just to not get.
I'm not sure if the county gets paid or if it's the people doing the classes. To be honest with you,
I'm pretty sure the people doing the classes get something. They
Yeah.
got it. I mean, it's
I'm not
government
quite
fund,
sure.
so they're getting paid by taxes. I'm
I'm
sure.
not quite sure how that works.
But the thing is, like, I go to this class, I pay $150 for it, whatever the cost is, and yet at the end of the day, I can't use it, or I might not even get approved for it.
Yeah,
That is not.
it's kind of like when you go to the store and they say, "Hey, we have 80% off,"
Yeah.
and it's that one dusty rack in the back with
Yeah.
the 3XL
Oh yeah,
shirt
3XL
that
shirts
doesn't
and it's
fit,
the
that's
same
been
3
sitting there.
shirts.
That's from 2 seasons ago.
Yep. The and so people who are listening to this are just like, so what do I do if I don't have money, like down payment assistance? Like, there are other things, because we can go to the seller and ask them for closing costs. It's like, you can't accumulate $6,000.
Okay.
If there's not things that you can cut, it's like financial literacy. It's like, you mean tell me you can't save $6,000 for a down payment, and then we can go to the seller and ask for the rest?
Well, the thing is, if most people out there who, if you're renting, like, I can't afford to buy a house, but you can afford to do first and last month rent as a security deposit, typically you can get the money.
First, last month, security deposit. If you have a pet, you're screwed. You ain't getting that
forget
back.
about that.
And like, it literally comes out to be a small down payment.
Yeah.
You could have literally, with that money, say about $6,000, you can literally buy probably like two small condos with that for down payments.
2 small condos.
So people just look at, you guys say it the most. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Right. So what I do is I'm like, all right, how much do you get in your tax refund? That's coming up. Oh,
Yeah.
I get $1,000. All right, cool. When you get it, put it to the side. How much can we save a month? Oh, well, I have this, I have that. I'm like, well, you really don't need to
I
be.
have that.
How often are you home to watch TV?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's just cut it. That's $50, $60 a month. Cool.
Yeah. How much do you
that to the
spend
side.
going out to eat? Like, do you buy lunch? Yeah. It's like, hey, how much is that? I don't know. It's like, well, think about it. Like, average $10 for lunch, 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Like 52 weeks out of the year. That's how much money you've just spent.
You just got to look at your lifestyle. I mean,
Yeah, you do. But I'm saying, like, there's ways. Like, you have to sit down and you have to face your demons. And when I say demons, I mean your bank account and all those little just overdrafts
we've
and
all
stuff
been
like
there.
that.
Where like you're too afraid to look at your account.
Literally the number one culprit of it. But I've done amazing this year. I have my finances. Exorbitant amount of anxiety is off my way because I faced it.
it's like people who don't want to go to the doctors because they know something is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me too. Like, my knees effed and like this knuckle is like killing me. It's like, I'm not gonna go to the
Yeah,
doctor.
that's just growing pains.
The longer you
That's
wait, the
all
worse
pain.
it is, though.
But that's usually the case. Is that we're too afraid to face the truth because it requires us to take action. And we could talk about this all day about financial literacy and also this. To everybody's blue in the face, but at the end of the day, like, when it comes down to it, is we have as a society just poor spending habits.
Get 500 from your mom. Get 500 from your dad. Get 500 from your uncle.
Do
Okay,
a
so
GoFundMe,
to talk
do a
about that-
Kickstarter.
To talk about that gift money, what is the process when it comes to getting gift money?
So with gift money, we just have to make sure that the funds have been seasoned. So they just have to be sitting in the account. They have to come from family. So they can't come from a friend.
They can't go from Joe Shark.
No.
Joe Shark.
Exactly. Like if
Joe
you don't,
Shark
they can't
from
come-
Russia.
yeah, they can't come
if you
from
don't
Joe
pay
Shark,
him
yeah.
his gift back, you have one less leg. Like, and that's what they want to make sure. They want to make sure that who you're getting the gift from is not
Is a legitimate person,
Right.
a resource.
Not gonna
Right.
kill you.
So your grandparents can give you $500,
Yeah.
So I mean, you just need to break it down into small increments and be like, hey, I can save 500. Can you match that 500? Cool. I'm trying to buy a house. It's not like you're trying to just go on vacation where people are not going to give you money. So
Yeah, you
know.
can do it. You just gotta face it.
make a plan. Sit down.
Yeah. You don't know how to make a plan?
A
Sit
lot-
with someone who can.
A lot of people have 401ks.
You can use that. People have Roth accounts. You can use that.
Yeah, I've had a couple.
I'm using
listings.
mine.
Yeah, I had a couple listings where the buyer for I'm not representing the buyer, but I'm representing the seller. But the buyer submits an offer and they have their 401k, and they're young kids. They're like probably like maybe 26, 27, and they're using their 401k in order to purchase the property. We didn't go with their offer, but but like you could use that if that's a situation. You need the money, especially when it comes to like down payments.
And now employers, what people don't do is employers are actually like matching dollar for dollar.
Yes.
So I mean, if I put in hey Chris, if I put $1 in my bank account and you're gonna put $1 in my bank account, why am I not doing it?
You're getting paid to save,
Yeah, you're literally getting paid to save, and then they're gonna match it for you.
Right. So I mean, why are you not saving? So people are like, oh, but I need that money on a monthly basis. You're gonna make it work whether you have that extra $27 at that paycheck or not. You're just not gonna see the extra $27 and go splurge on the coffee and the extra lunch.
Yep.
You just be like, all right, I don't have that money.
Yep. Like for many people who don't know, I'm actually buying a house. Evan's my lender.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
He didn't know. That's how that's how good of a job he does. He doesn't even know who his whole clients are.
That's hilarious. But yeah, and I actually been. My girlfriend and I, we've been focusing for like past like 3 months now just on saving, and we have it down to a T. Like our accounts growing, like you're gonna be proud of us, man. We're like, just because we're not eating out, our expenses are at all low, and we're being very smart. Like, and we're staying at home. We're homebodies. Oh, and
the gym. I mean, both. I mean, you're getting swole. She's getting slim. Swole.
Oh, dude, she's getting swole, dude. She's slimming, but man, you should saw her do a military press the other morning. I was just like, God, those muscles are popping so nicely.
I mean, that's
sexy.
You guys are eating right.
Hey, wrong show, sir.
Sorry. Love you, baby.
Your account is growing.
Yes. Gains are growing. And you're building. Getting swell. Building well, about to buy a house, and definitely want to talk about that for sure. Go through the process. As being a realtor, going through the process is entirely separate as being a buyer. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's something that I wanted to just kind of drop into people's just a nugget. You can move back. I know this sucks, moving back home with family, but I mean, if you do it for 3 months and you save $1,000.
Yeah, we're 3 months in right now. We got another 3 to go.
You're gonna pay rent anyway, so just put that money to the side. In 3 months, you have $3-4 grand.
And surprisingly, a lot of people do that.
I think
I did. I am right now.
Well, I think it's this whole
frowned upon.
It's frowned upon in our society because it's like once you hit 18, you're supposed to go out there and kind of be your own independent person. But the issue with that is that 18 years old, you're being asked to do a couple things. One, to go get an expensive living situation. That's a huge bill, renting. College. And 2, college. You're going to go deeply in debt for that. And then they want you to be independent at the same time. When you look at other cultures from, especially from Asia, China and stuff like this, most people don't move out of their houses until they actually get married, and they're set up a lot better. So I think for a lot of people, this idea that, you're somehow a loser, you're not well off, or just because you live with your parents. Yeah. But the thing is, like, you can still pay rent to your parents, just not at the exorbitant amount of rates that you would get trying to live on your own. So you would sit there and kind of work out a deal. Not only are you paying rent, but you're also helping out your parents. Yeah, and at the same time, you're saving. So, like, we need to get over this idea that you're just a loser because you live with your parents, and then that's it. Like, we have a bad setup in this country where it's just like, oh, you're 18, go off there and be an adult, even though up until this very moment you had to raise your hands and go pee.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, tomorrow you're an adult. You're 18. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like you're an adult now, and then magically somehow
one day to the next you're just an adult.
Yeah, well, this transformation happens within 24 hours, and all this. You know how to be responsible. You know how to do your finances. Like when I was in the military, oh good Lord, like people this is the first time a lot of people at that age bracket literally ever had a consistent steady paycheck. And it wasn't much. Like, we're bringing in like $300 a week.
But that $300 went to anything and everything.
Oh my God. They would they load up their dorm rooms or their barracks with tons of just junk. And they would have no money whatsoever.
They just buy guns.
Oh, they weren't buying guns because you're not allowed to have guns on base.
That's true.
But they would buy like TVs, PS2s at the time. That's how old I am. So,
middle-aged millennial.
Yeah, But so they would set themselves up because they will set themselves up for failure just because of their spending habits. And it's just like, just because they had the money, they felt like they could spend it. And I preach this like all the time, so I apologize.
You know what I think the root of all this is? I think the microwave messed us up when it came
the
out.
microwave.
The microwave? Oh my
really-
God. There's
really-
a conspiracy I've never heard before. The microwave screwed us up.
Right? Because before you had to cook on the stove. And
Yeah.
it took forever. Now you just pop it in the microwave and you can have a meal done in a couple minutes. And I think that has kind of shifted our mentality. And we want everything so much faster. Like kids
We
are not
do.
waiting for,
Zero patience.
they had a study done
Kids
where
never had patience. I didn't have patience.
yeah, but at least when we were younger, they would show us the importance of saving, putting money to the side. They would show us like, you would do the little experiment where you would put the seed in the ground and actually watch it. Now, kids want everything now, and YouTube, everything is so accessible that actually waiting, the weighing out the options of doing what's right and having to wait to doing what feels good now. People just choose what feels good now, and they don't worry.
They don't see the future. Everyone's in their bubble. It's shining object syndrome as well.
There was a study done with
this now. Just worry about it later.
yeah.
5 years later.
There was a study done with kids where they would give them, I think
Marshmallow.
it was
The marshmallow
right, the
test.
marshmallow, right. So I mean, you can elaborate on it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
I was
no,
just
no,
like,
go
I
ahead,
knew
go
it's
ahead.
like I was thinking about it too. It's like, so they gave a kid a marshmallow, said, "Hey, you can have this. That's cool, but if you wait 5 minutes, I'll give you 2 marshmallows. But you can eat that marshmallow if you want." And if the kid who ate it now is impatient, lives now, but the kid who waited for the 2 had a higher, their future was likely.
They were
to,
more successful.
they're-
They were
they're
more likely
likely
to
to be
save.
more
They were more
successful.
likely to have a better
Yes.
job, just because they understand that if you wait, the reward is greater. You know,
Yes.
everybody wants to grab the fruit off the tree because they want the fruit, but nobody wants to wait till it gets ripe, till it's
Yeah.
nice and juicy.
No one
and
wants to grow
no.
their own fruit. Like
No.
I
They
when I
want
get
it
the
now.
house- when we get our house, like I would love to plant an avocado tree,
That's
a
dope.
lime tree, and a mango tree. Mango, avocado, lime. I think those would be the top ones.
Go
I
find the
love mango.
old Spanish couple and buy their house. 'Cause those mango trees.
They're
Oh,
already
good
done.
Lord,
yeah, it's
yeah.
already done.
It takes I think like
Yeah.
10 years before you get a mango. So you
No,
probably-
it's like 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
I've already been looking at it, man.
Okay.
All right.
Mike's
All right, so-
over here just like, okay, whatever. I just want my studio room in my house.
Yeah, exactly. That's just turn my entire living room into a studio. All
Yeah,
right,
we gotta
so
wrap this up.
yeah, so we got to wrap this up. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the box down below. We'll get to them in the next episode. So don't be afraid. Like I said, if it has anything to do with wealth creation, real estate, entrepreneurship, business, health, go ahead and hit us up. We'll try to answer this. We don't have any health expert here, so we'll try to find one. That'd be awesome. So if you guys, oh, that's right, you got your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wifey.
And me, yeah. I got my waifu for life. She's great on health. She's very, very knowledgeable.
Nice. All right, so you guys remember, we're going to be going live probably every Saturday around 11 o'clock, so make sure you subscribe and like us and share us on social media. Like, this really helps out the channel. We're trying to create something where we give value back to you guys. Between us, we probably have about 15, 20 years of real estate knowledge, so make sure you take advantage of that. And if you guys want to sit down with us, talk about purchasing a house in the future, you want to come up with that game plan, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Seriously,
If you actually
save yourself time.
Yeah, if you go ahead and look at the links down below in the description, you should see it. Be able to contact us. Like us on social media. My handle on Instagram is Mike the Realtor, 3 R's instead of 1. So yeah, make sure you follow me, and that's in the description down below as well.
Yep.
Use us. I mean, let us give you the shortcut. I mean, we have 15 years. You don't have to stumble over the same rocks that we did in
No,
order to
yeah.
get where we're at. I mean, use us.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
You don't have to.
All right, so
Agree, man.
any final words?
Appreciate you guys. Please talk to us. Talk to somebody. Talk to us. Talk to somebody. Get a game plan. That way we can build your roadmap for you. If you don't know, talk to people that know.
That's it right there. Those
All right,
are the
guys.
final words.
Apologize about the technical difficulties in the beginning. First time going live on YouTube, so I had to find the go live button. Couldn't find it. It was hidden somewhere. YouTube likes to change up all their stuff all the time. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember, life is good, so be good, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.
Bye.